It's all-pro tight end Rob Gronkowski. And nothing fuels my patented Gronk spike like all-natural Alberto beef jerky. Lean beef, slow-cooked, and seasoned to perfection. It's all-natural and all-delicious. Don't take a chance with some wimpy snack. Go with protein-packed, all-natural Alberto beef jerky.
Alberto beef jerky. You get out what you put in.
Refers to Alberto's all-natural line of beef jerkies. Minimally processed, no artificial ingredients.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Floyd Mayweather would have been embarrassed into infamy. You can slice it any way you want to. This guy, he had absolutely nothing to gain but money and everything, and I do mean everything to lose. And the fact that Floyd Money Mayweather ended up handling his business in the fashion that he did, everybody's in a better position because of it. You can slice it any way you want to. This is what this comes down to. Floyd Money Mayweather going up against Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor did not put forth a bad performance. I had him win in the first 2 rounds. Some people had him win in the first 3 rounds. Some people had him win in the first 4 rounds. I had him win in the first 2. He caught Floyd Mayweather with a nice uppercut, hit him with a few shots. It says he landed more than 100 shots. That's not true. He was pity-patting Floyd for most of the fight, wasn't using a jab, didn't show extraordinary boxing ability, but you give credit where credit is due. He did end up surviving about 10 rounds. He got slaughtered in the 9th, got stopped in the 10th, but the first 8 rounds, boy, was he lucky that Floyd Mayweather suddenly looked old and didn't look sharp. Because if this man, Floyd Money Mayweather, had been sharp, if he had been a Floyd Money Mayweather that we have come to know, he would have took Conor McGregor out much, much, much earlier. Give Conor McGregor credit because he did not look awful. He actually held his own. Again, he won at least the first 2 rounds, in my estimation, arguably the first 3 or 4. You got to give credit where credit is due. Floyd had a hard time catching him. Floyd had a hard time getting up in him. He marched straight ahead like he said he would. And as a result, what happened is that, guess what? The plan, whether it was a plan B, plan A, whatever the case may be, it worked to perfection. Floyd's strategy was clear. I don't think you can punch as hard in this sport as you appear to punch in the UFC. That's A. B, I'm going to stick my chest, I'm going to stick my face and my head in your chest. I'm going to stalk you. I'm going to crowd you, and I'm going to walk you down. Why am I going to do this? Because Conor McGregor, I don't believe that you have the stamina to last this entire fight. I don't think you can stay up for this long. Your legs will eventually give out. The fatigue will eventually kick in. And what I do on a regular basis, as it pertains to going 12 rounds, you've got no shot in hell of pulling off in this sport. And Floyd was right. Conor McGregor looked completely gassed. I had him gassed after the 4th round. He was breathing heavy, looked exhausted. And then when Floyd kept hitting him in the body, that seemed to take its toll. And I looked at Conor McGregor as being ill-equipped to do anything about it. Now, I want to show respect and deference to Conor McGregor from the standpoint that fighting in his first professional boxing match against arguably, well, undisputably, one of the greatest ever. He deserves a lot of credit for that. A lot of credit for that. Because if Conor, but let's be clear about something. If Conor McGregor was going up against Canelo Alvarez, if he was going up against Triple G, if he was going up against Errol Spence Jr., Conor McGregor would have gotten knocked out inside of 3 or 4 rounds. Keith Thurman, throw him into the equation as well. Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, who was at the fight, Terrence Crawford, guys like that. Had he been going against them, Conor McGregor would have gotten knocked out inside of 3 or 4 rounds. I don't care what anybody says. He wouldn't have lasted. There's no way he would have lasted. There's no way he could have lasted. I don't care. You can slice it any way you want to. It wouldn't have happened. But he ended up doing what he needed to do. And he deserves a lot of credit for that. And in the end, what it comes down to is that you have to give respect where respect is due. Fighting his first professional fight against one of the best ever, he made a good showing for himself. But he couldn't deal with Floyd Money Mayweather when it really, really counted. Conor McGregor had to come down to 153. That might have taken its toll. Floyd Mayweather was a pristine 149.5 pounds. For the fight, Conor McGregor came in about 15 pounds more than Floyd Money Mayweather. Didn't matter. As Mayweather said during Friday's weigh-in, weight don't win fights. That's what he said. And that is where we are. He handled his business. He didn't embarrass the sport by losing to a complete novice who never should have been allowed to be in the ring with them to begin with. And as a result, he can walk into retirement. And make no mistake about it, Floyd Money Mayweather needs to go into retirement. The Floyd Money Mayweather that you saw Friday night, I'm not talking about he would have fought him the same way or anything like that. I'm just talking plainly and purely how he looked Saturday night against Conor McGregor. Floyd would have got knocked out by Canelo Alvarez. And Errol Spence Jr. might have beaten him. Or Terrence Crawford might have beaten him. That Floyd Mayweather that was missing those punches, missing one right after another against Conor McGregor, I don't know what he would have done against those other guys. He's always had problems with southpaws too, which Errol Spence is. So that would have been problematic for him, no question about it. But in the end, what it comes down to is that he did enough. By the way, I'm not counting at 50-0. I'm not giving him that. Everybody says, come on, Stephen A. Just have Michael Thompson tell me that. Come on, Stephen A. Get over it. Mad respect for Floyd and what he accomplished. One of the greatest to ever do it. No doubt. But I want to be very clear about where I stand. You do not get to go into the ring against someone who never, ever, ever fought professionally as a boxer before when you're a champion. And that gets to count on your record. Not in my eyes. Because champions don't waste their time with anybody who hasn't earned the right to face them in the ring. Conor McGregor earned the right to face Floyd Money Mayweather because he's a star in the UFC and because he's a marketing whiz. He earned every penny. And for an exhibition, you're damn right. They both deserve their money. They entertained us. I enjoyed myself far more than I thought I would, as well as many others. We didn't get cheated this time. No question. But that doesn't mean you deserve to be 50-0. That doesn't mean that deserves to count as win number 50 as a boxer on a championship resume of a Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm sorry. I'm just not flowing with that. I'm just not. 866-729-ESPN is the number to call up. That's 866-729-3776. We'll talk about the fight. We'll talk about whether you count as 50-0. We'll talk about where McGregor should go from here. I don't think he should fight anymore. We'll also talk about Colin Kaepernick because of the great Jim Brown and what he had to say about Kaepernick and what you feel about that. All of that and more. Plus some football news with Edelman being out. What's that going to mean to the Patriots? And some stuff that took place in the National Football League over this past weekend as well. Lots of stuff to get into, and we will definitely do that right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 80. Let's get to the phones at 866-729-ESPN. That's 866-729-3776. I'm going to go to my next guest, and I'm going to tell him, I'm only going to call him by this name one time. I don't give a damn whether it's his given name or not. He better come up with a nickname or something, because what I'm about to call this dude is the equivalent of what Cedric the Entertainer said during Kings of Comedy when he said he ain't calling no grown damn man delicious. This guy's going to tell me his name is My Love from New Jersey. That is the only time I will say that to a grown man. I'm telling you right now, I'm not doing it again. What's up? Speak up.
I respect that, Stephen A. Smith. Before I made my comment on the fight, I didn't know you had some good dance moves.
I'm all right, man. I'm no dancer. I just got a little rhythm. That's all. Go ahead.
All right.
You better have a nickname next time you call up here. I'm telling you, I'm not going to let you on the line with that name again. Go ahead.
All right. I'll come up with one. In the ninth round, do you think the referee got in the way a little bit? Because with McGregor got him in the corner, you think they said that was a low blow. What's your take on that?
Well, you got to remember, I thought it was a low blow, but even though it was a low blow and he was going after Floyd did what he was doing throughout the fight. He covered up. And when he covered up, I mean, it wasn't like, he had him staggered to the point where he was defenseless. Floyd had been covering up and coming right at him while covering up the whole fight. So that didn't make a difference to me. No, I didn't think Conor McGregor had him in trouble.
All right, babe, thanks.
Take it easy. Wendell in Los Angeles, you're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up?
Stephen A. First of all, let me prayers to all the people in the Gulf Coast, for what they're enduring right now.
Especially in Houston right now. Houston, Texas got it worse, right?
Yeah, and then
right now.
Getting to the Mayweather, you used the right word. It was an exhibition. That's all it was an exhibition. And it was basically a thing where for Mayweather, in the form of public opinion, he could not win because he did what he was supposed to do. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. And for McGregor, there were no losers. He got defeated, but when those checks cleared, they all won. They all won. So, I mean, it is what it is.
I hate when we bring that up. I mean, that's like saying the sky is blue. I mean, the fact of the matter is if you get a minimum of $100 million, which is what McGregor's going to get, and Floyd tells me he's going to get over $350 million, of course they won. But that's not why you call up to wait online, to wait to come on the air because, they all won. We all know that. Talk to me about something with the fight.
You said something about that the Nevada Boxing Commission, that fight was sanctioned by the commission.
Yes.
So it should stand in the records.
I disagree. Go ahead.
Okay, and also now getting to Jim Brown about the desecration of the anthem, I see fans in the stand do more desecration of the national anthem by digging in there wherever, scratching and talking during the national anthem than Colin Kaepernick would ever do.
Well, that's but he's talking about Colin Kaepernick. He's not talking about the fans.
I understand. I fully understand that. But I mean, but I don't call it desecration myself either. I agree with you on that.
No, I don't think he did. I think that Jim Brown's got it all mixed up. And for those who don't know what you're talking about, Jim Brown, and I'll read the quote to you when we come out of break, but Jim Brown essentially said that he would never desecrate the flag and he would never, disrespect our nation. I'll quote him accurately when I get the exact quote to put in front of me. But he was talking about how Colin Kaepernick needed to do something different. He needs to decide whether or not he wants to be an activist or a football player, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My position with Jim Brown on this particular issue is I don't agree with him because I don't believe that Colin Kaepernick desecrated the flag any more than I believe that he insulted our American soldiers, our servicemen and women who's represented our nation. He took a position of speaking out against racial inequality and prejudice, along with brutality on the part of police officers. And he was challenging America to live up to what it says it is as a gorgeous mosaic that is the United States of America. My issue with Colin Kaepernick is that he announced to the world that he didn't vote. It's not that he kneeled for the national anthem. So when Jim Brown and them says that he desecrated the flag, I completely disagree with that notion. I think it's wrong and I think it's unfair to Colin Kaepernick. If you have to have a problem with Colin Kaepernick, have a problem with the fact that he doesn't vote. That's what you have a problem with, particularly if you're Jim Brown. But that's me.
Voting Rights Act after only a little over 50 years.
Well, first of all, you were trying to talk while I was talking. So when you came back on the line, nobody heard the point that you said. All we heard was Voting Rights Act. What did you say before Voting Rights Act?
Well, like I said, you made a good point about Kaepernick not voting because we're in the midst of people trying to rescind the Voting Rights Act of 1965, and it's only been 52 years.
Good point.
You know,
good point. People don't realize that in this country, they can still confiscate the right to vote. Because the right to vote has been extended to us, if I remember correctly, for like 25 to 50 years. You understand what I'm saying? It's not like it's something that's a matter of law that goes into perpetuity, that it's everlasting. That's not the case. There are still issues as it pertains to the Voting Rights Act that exists within the United States of America. People don't realize that. So your point is very, very valid, Wendell.
Hey,
very
man,
valid.
Enjoy your show. Keep doing what you're
Thank
doing.
you.
Let's embrace diversity, man.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Let's go to Jordan. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Jordan?
Hey, what's going on, Stephen? How you doing, brother?
Talk to me.
So, because I knew I was going to try to talk to you today, I analyzed the fight from start to finish. It was a great fight, man. What I took from the fight is Floyd wanted to teach him a lesson and make him go the distance. So he gave him those 3 rounds because that's what he is. But then I took account of what Roy Jones said on First Take on Friday. He's never heard of 6, 7, 8, 9. So as I'm sitting there talking to my friend, because I work at a bar, and everybody was going for McGregor, and me and a few other people going for Floyd, because we know that's Floyd's sport. Floyd's one of my favorites. So everybody's cheering, and they see he's throwing punches, but what people not noticing that he's not landing those punches. When he's hitting the face, Floyd he was dodging them, and then his counter punches was getting attached to McGregor. McGregor fought a really, really good fight. It was a really, really good fight. But I seen how he was winded. I said, he's tired. And Floyd kept his defense up really, really good. And McGregor, I felt, wasn't defending himself as a boxer, but defending himself as an MMA fighter. Hands down majority of the time, not keeping his hands up close, was getting good shots in on Floyd at times. But when Floyd had got him in that 8th, 9th, and 10th, after that 10th round, he started rocking him. I thought he's finished, and he kept rocking him. You can see the fatigue on him. He was really, really tired. He was winded. There was nothing he could do at that point in the 10th round. So Floyd said, and you see Floyd was going at him. So you see Floyd was stalking him at times, letting him get his shots in, letting him tire himself out, and he said, okay, well, these later on rounds, I'm going to go after him. And that's what he did, and he fought a really, really good fight. So what did you take from what did you analyze what he was doing from?
Well, listen, I thought that Floyd was picking him apart. He wore him down. He knew he had him on the ropes because he knew that Conor McGregor wasn't going to last and he was going to take him out in the later rounds. That was predictable. We could see it. We could see that it was working effectively because Conor was practically out of it, particularly in the 9th round. He got saved. One time he held onto the ropes to prevent himself from falling. My point is that Conor McGregor's head was there to be hit throughout the fight. He wasn't moving his head at all. He would lean back to try to avoid punches, but he wasn't dodging anything. And against a younger, sharper opponent, he would have gotten annihilated. He's a UFC fighter, and I think that one of the things we learned is that even though UFC fighters are tough as hell, and they deserve profound respect, and they're legit fighters because they can beat you a multitude of ways, there is an art and a science to boxing. And Floyd Money Mayweather showed and proved that on Saturday night, which is why neither of the sports should be disrespected. We respect what it is. We understand where it comes from. But in the end, there are levels to this. And Conor McGregor, as a boxer, just couldn't really compete with Floyd Money Mayweather as far as I'm concerned. He doesn't need to be back in boxing at all. He needs to go back to the UFC and stay there. Because if he gets in a boxing ring with somebody younger and sharper, I think he's going to get destroyed.
Yeah, a couple small more things. One more thing about the fight, man, a shout out to Houston. My mom was down there. I can see when he was tying up with them, you can tell he was very uneducated on how to conduct himself in a tie-up. He was bopping him on the head on top of the head. Referee had to back him up many times, had to keep warning him to stop doing that because he was not educated on how you use a tie-up. He was using the tie-up as, I don't know what he was doing, his makeshift moves and what he was throwing in there. And, he had him tied up at one point, and he hopped away. And Floyd was trying to get out of it, and it's like, okay, and then Kevin is fun.
You dissecting it a little. You dissecting it a little bit too much, bro. And far more experts, far more knowledgeable and in depth and close to it than you have already broken it down for radio purposes. I don't need you to do that. I got it. But in the end, what it comes down to is that Floyd should retire and Conor McGregor should go back to the UFC. It's just that simple. It was an exhibition. It was nothing more. This is not a 50-0 elite boxing match that Floyd Mayweather ultimately registered. I'm sorry, I'm not giving him that that.
Guess what? You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it! Oh, 33 minutes past hour number 1 back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. That's 98.7 FM New York, 710 ESPN on LA, and, of course, nationwide over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80. Back to the phones we go. Let's go to Chris in LA. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me.
Hey, Stephen A. Good afternoon. Quick thing, man. Quick question. Did you get a chance to cross paths with your old partner in crime and Skip Bayless while you were in Vegas?
No, I did not.
You did not? Okay, so you don't know the prediction that your man Skip had before the fight and what he said after the fight?
No, nor do I care. He's at the other network. I'm here.
Oh, okay. Oh, I apologize. Okay, I just thought maybe you guys still, chat.
No, we're still boys. We will always be brothers from another mother. That's my man. But he does him.
Right.
I do me.
All right, understandable. So just real quick, I just want to throw out there something he said. Tell me what your take is on this. Your man Skip says that Floyd, for a long time, he was being outboxed by Conor McGregor, and he was in trouble early in the 9th round. What is your take when Skip says that?
I disagree. Totally.
I disagree 1,000.
What else is new? Go ahead.
I just thought maybe you knew already, but you didn't.
No, I don't pay attention to that. I'm more focused on what my man Max Kellerman says. He's my partner in crime now, not Skip Bayless. So I'm more focused on what he says and what he brings to the table. First Take, we're doing our thing. We will continue to do our thing. I wish nothing but the best for my buddy who will always be my brother. But he's doing him and I'm doing me.
Okay, absolutely. I apologize. I wasn't trying to get into all that. I just thought it was funny because I remember you must joke around with the whole Mountain Dew with it being spiked and all that with Skip. That's the first thing that came to mind when I watched him this morning on Undisputed. I was like, man, Stephen A. might be right. He might be spiked this morning.
Might be spiked. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call. Let's go to Jay. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Stephen A.?
I'm all right.
Love the show. I got a couple of quick points now. I really think Mayweather took it easy on it, because he could have used his normal fighting style, and the guy wouldn't have touched it. They saying he hit him 100 and some times, and they saying that, that's more than Pacquiao.
Well, they're counting the times that Conor McGregor led with his right and just tapped down Floyd's gloves. That's what they're counting as hits, evidently, because he damn sure didn't hit Floyd 100 times. That I can tell you.
Well, let me say this then. Well, what do you think about if he would have used his normal fighting style? Well, we know it's born, the shoulder roll where he had his head kind of back and all that. Would he even got those many punches, or would it have probably maybe ended sooner, or would it went longer? I think Floyd.
I think no, he did not look good at all, sir. Not at all. Not compared to what we were accustomed to seeing Floyd look like. Floyd is very, very smart. He's getting out the game at the right time because the way he looked Saturday night, he would not have beaten any of these young boxers. I'm telling you that right now. He was missing. I mean, Conor McGregor would have been out 4 rounds earlier if Floyd Mayweather were connecting on half those punches.
Yeah.
He'd have been out 4 rounds earlier.
Well, another thing I would just say, I think that's why I really think he did it for the fans, because he came at him. He was, like you said, he was almost stalking him, walking around the ring following him. But last little point I wanted to make was McGregor. Do you think he would go back to the UFC and fight again?
He's definitely going to go back.
He
definitely is going to go back. He announced that he would be going back. But I will say this. I don't think the question about McGregor is whether or not he'll go back to the UFC. I think the question about him is whether or not you believe he's going to be as good. Because where's the urgency now? Yeah, he was getting $3 to $5 million. About $3 million was his largest payday. He's going to make a minimum of $30 million for this fight, or he made a minimum of $30 million for this fight. And when you take into account pay-per-view sales, Conor McGregor is going to make over $100 million for this one fight. I mean, just think about that for a second there. So when I look at it from that perspective, what comes to my mind and what it makes me say is, you know what? Wow. I got to look at it for what it is and just say, is he going to be as hungry? That's the question. Because in a pugilistic sport, man, when you got these guys that are coming from rags in pursuit of riches, they're willing to do anything. They're willing to put themselves through anything just to get to that point. And the worst thing that could happen to them is comfortability and affluence. When you live that kind of life and you've got something to lose, your heart usually leaves because it's just not worth it. Mayweather was an exception. Conor might be an exception along with a few others throughout history. But for the most part, those who capture affluence and riches and wealth and have something to lose, it usually reflects in their performances because they're not going to go all out because they don't have to any longer. Their primary obligation is to depart healthy as opposed to winning, and I think that's the difference.
Okay, well, at $3 million a fight, that's like 30 fights to make $100 million, you know. So
yeah,
I can't see him being hungry, you know, or whatever, no more to even want to go and get beat like that for $3 million, you know.
That's
so
fair,
that's
but you know,
Floyd
has fought for many years despite having made hundreds of millions of dollars. It didn't stop him from going into the ring and handling his business. So maybe that'll be the same for Conor.
Okay, well, thanks, man. Love the show. Keep doing what you're doing. You're the only reason next year I'm getting my money.
Thanks a lot, bro. Appreciate you, man. Let's go to Ryan in Ohio. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Ryan. What's up?
What's up, Steve?
Going on, bro. You live on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, big shout out to you, man. Hey, I got a couple things I just want to talk about real quick. You know, being here in Ohio, man, we're about like 30 minutes north of Cincinnati. So I gotta ask you about Vontaze. But first, let's get on the fight. I did watch the fight round for round, man. I think it was a good fight on behalf of McGregor. I think a lot of people thought McGregor might wild out and wasn't going to be able to take the pressure and might, you know, resort to a kick or a takedown or something. And I got to give him his credit, man. He did stand up. He went straight from the shoulders, man. I didn't see him really do anything illegal, like you said before with another caller. He did get tired. I saw him grab the ropes like he was trying to keep himself up.
All right, man. Listen, bro. I got to interrupt you because your point is well made. But if you're gonna get to a second point, you need to do it now because you're taking too long. Go ahead. What's your second?
All right, my bad. Let's get with Vontaze, man. The Vontaze hit. I think the 5-game suspension is too much, man. I looked at the hit. I played football in high school, man. You got 5 yards to touch the receiver. He was within that 5 yards, man. I mean, you got to keep your head on the swivel going across the middle with the line.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know why? And I got you right here, Ryan. You're totally wrong, and you're going to agree with me. You know why? Because the NFL has warned him time and time again, and they've implemented rules and regulations, and it's not the way football used to be because of their focus on safety. Every off season, some new rule is implemented, and not only do they go team to team to talk about it, they emphasize talking to Vontaze Burfict, who's received over $800,000 in fines in his career, and you still go out and do it. Now, we ain't talking about you, Ryan. We ain't talking about you, you know, because you might know better. And even though you might feel like the rules are the rules and you got to keep your head on a swivel and football is football, if $800,000 was taken out of your pocket and you knew the next transgression could cost you just as much due to one more penalty, how much you want to make a bet, Ryan, you'd fly straight even though you didn't like the rule?
Yeah, I agree with you, man.
That's the point. But see, that's the biggest point. I'm not saying, what I'm saying to you is you're right in theory in what you're saying, Ryan. Just don't use Vontaze Burfict to make that case because that man continues to put himself in these positions. That's the problem.
They didn't throw a flag on that play, though, you know?
It don't matter. It don't matter because, listen, you got to remember there's plenty of times he's been penalized where flags weren't thrown. There's plenty of times where they came back to him after watching the footage and saying, this is what you did. He had to go up to the league office and them talk to him one-on-one, face-to-face because of it. How do you not know? And then you're going to put yourself in a position where you strip yourself of over $800,000 out of your pocket just to hit a defenseless running back? Why would you do that, Ryan? Why? Let him go. Let him go. Keep your money. What are you doing? They're throwing a bomb, Ryan. They're throwing the football 30 yards downfield. And just because you see this guy not looking at you, you want to hit him? Why? For what? Why?
It's part of the play, though.
I just told you, Ryan, would you do it? If you knew that the next penalty was going to cost you $800,000 and 5 games, would you do it, yes or no?
I got to say no.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Give Stephen A piece of your mind.
He is sorry.
Call him weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
I mean, just trash.
At 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it.
Phones we go. Back here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. ESPN Radio. Going to get more into Colin Kaepernick and Jim Brown in hour number 2. Some stuff about the New England Patriots and Edelman going down. Some NFL action that I saw over the weekend. And, of course, the Cavs-Celtics trade that potentially has gone awry. A lot of stuff is going into it. And also, I'm going to play my final take for you from today's show on the First Take, ESPN. I'm going to play that for you because it's something that I wanted to say about Floyd Money Mayweather that should be appreciated more than people realize. I'll replay that final take for you in hour number 2. But until then, let's get back to the phones. My brother, Mike in Denver. How you doing, my man? Good to hear from you. What's up?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, Stephen A?
I'm good, man. Talk to me. What's going on?
I was just calling about the fight, man. I really enjoyed it. It was a good fight, better than what I thought it was. But one thing that I want to point out is Floyd told you, just like he told everybody in the interview, I got to go get him.
He
Remember
did.
when he told you that?
He did. I give him credit, too, because everybody was raving about the power that Conor McGregor packed in his punch. And they were supposed to go in there with 10-ounce gloves. And then Conor wanted it down to 8, and Floyd agreed, and they got the Nevada State Athletic Commission to capitulate. You're usually not supposed to fight with less than 10-ounce gloves at 154 pounds or above. And they got him to reduce it to 8-ounce gloves. And, evidently it obviously worked out. It obviously did.
If anybody was paying attention, because you even looked at him when he said it, he said, "Nah, I got to go get him."
Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it.
Everybody thought it was a ploy.
Yeah,
everybody thought it was a
right
decoy.
He walked right up to him practically the entire fight.
That was the reason why they talking about the 111 punches, but that was the hit on the arms and all that.
That's right.
Floyd would have fought his normal fight. He would have never touched him, but Floyd showed a lot of courage, man, when he took that shot from him and went back to the corner and said, "Man, I got him now." You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed it, man. I really enjoy your show, but I'm let you get back to the other callers, man, because I'm always like to hear you, man. Get on down. I love you, man, and I'm listening.
I appreciate it, man, and give your brother my love. Let's go to Mike in L.A. You're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, Mike. What's up?
Yes, sir. Thank you, man. I want to talk about that appreciation. I've appreciated Conor's rise to fame, his talents. What I'm wondering about today is his corner, John Kavanagh, win or learn. I think or is a trouble here. Win and learn. Conor won those early rounds. I'm not sure that they were paying attention. I don't know. I just wonder what you think about.
What are you trying to say? What are you trying to say? I don't understand.
Maybe they didn't make an adjustment they needed to make. I mean, Floyd didn't throw but one punch in the first round, 3 or 4 in the second round. You got to recognize that you're getting led into deep waters. All I heard from their corner was full recovery. They got ice bags on Conor's chest, on his back. You look in Floyd's corner. He hasn't taken a deep breath in 15 minutes.
No. I realize that, and that was a strategy on the part of Floyd. What I'm saying to you is this. How do you – that doesn't take away from the fact that Mayweather lost those first 2 rounds. He was strategizing, but he still lost them.
That's right, and I'm wondering if they didn't recognize they were getting pulled out to deep water and take a look at their strategy and say, hey, look, Conor's hitting him, but it doesn't look like it's imparting any damage. Do we want to take a really, really bold move, use this information we're getting, and kind of ride this out into 6, 7, 8, 9 with a little more energy? I mean, they spent their load. Everybody seems to agree on that. I just wonder if there was any discussion on, let's put the pressure on him to come at us. He's got a big ego. He's promised he's going to take the fight to us. He's not doing it. So what are we going to do with that information? Maybe it's overconfidence on their part. Maybe they thought Conor was going to get at him and it was going to work. I didn't see that, and I'm a Conor appreciator. I just didn't see it, and I'm wondering why they didn't see that, or if they were just dead set on their plan. I don't know.
Well, listen. I think that Conor, they were dead set on their plan, and like Conor said, he was very, very honest. He said, look, the guy came right at me and put his head in my chest, and he said, I didn't expect that. He didn't see that coming. He assumed that Floyd Money Mayweather would try to counter, that he'd be on the outside looking at how to get in. He didn't think that Floyd would walk right to him the way that he did and keep him backing up, keep him moving. Because you don't just stand there, okay, and try. You're not a Conor McGregor. You're not trying to fight on the inside like that. That's not where Conor McGregor's strength lies. And as a result, I think that's what shocked him, Mike. That's what I think got him.
I think you're right, too. I appreciate your insight. I think I'll add one more thing, and I like Conor for this, too. He said what he didn't realize is that he was going to spend so much energy, and the result was going to be he was going to have Floyd's back. And that was very telling. He's got Floyd's back, and in an MMA fight, he's going to know what to do from there. But he spent all this energy getting at Floyd, and Floyd, for whatever reason, I haven't seen all his fights, but he gave him that back. And it's like, and even I think it was Jim Lampley got all fired up at one point in the fight saying, that's illegal, that's illegal.
It wasn't Jim Lampley, but I get what you're saying, and I understand. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much. Listen, the bottom line is Floyd threw him off because Floyd was doing things he hadn't seen before, watching tape, watching Floyd. He didn't know. Got completely thrown off. But again, that's Floyd, the computer, the magician in the ring, executing yet again.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.
It's all-pro tight end Rob Gronkowski. And nothing fuels my patented Gronk Spike like all-natural Alberto beef jerky. Lean beef, slow-cooked, and seasoned to perfection. It's all natural and all delicious. Don't take a chance with some wimpy snack. Go with protein-packed, all-natural Alberto beef jerky.
Alberto beef jerky. You get out what you put in.
Refers to Alberto's all-natural line of beef jerky. Minimally processed, no artificial ingredients.
This is the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
I'm Stephen A. Stephen A. Smith Show here with you for the next hour or so over the airwaves of ESPN Radio, Sirius XM Channel 80. Number to call up as always, 866-729-ESPN. It's 866-729-3776. Oh, man, watching the news. Our hearts go out to all the folks in Houston. Massive flooding that's taking place. Hurricane Harvey. Flooding right now. I mean, what do you say? Right now, you got to look at things for what they are and just hope and pray that everybody's okay. City of Houston is just essentially drowning right now. I will say that hats off to J.J. Watt. You know, there's a reason why he can have a celebrity softball game and 30,000 people show up. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Because his heart's always in the right place. Concerned about the city of Houston and the folks out there who are suffering. He's looking at things for what it is and doing his part to help folks in need. Talks about the strength, the intestinal fortitude that'll be required to uplift the city of Houston and beyond. That's why J.J. Watt's a special guy. And we just wish him nothing but the best. And, you know, obviously, folks here at ESPN, other networks as well, and individual throughout the sports world, I'm quite sure everybody will be willing to do whatever it can to help these folks. This disaster that has been taking place in Texas. I don't think anybody will hesitate. Anybody with a heart would hesitate. I know I wouldn't. So our hearts go out to all of those people there. It's certainly something that we should be cognizant of. And, you know, our prayers are with the folks in the city of Houston and beyond that, throughout that area that are struggling right now due to the inclement weather conditions and this the catastrophe that is taking place from a weather perspective. Obviously, that's what I'm talking about here. And we'll just keep them in our prayers and hope that things get considerably better. That's what we will do. A couple of other things to move on from. Speaking of an NFL player like J.J. Watt, let's transition to Julian Edelman. He got hurt, apparently, reportedly, torn ACL. He's going to be out. Listen, New England Patriots got Brandon Cooks in the offseason from the Saints. They still got this guy, Chris Hogan. Malcolm Mitchell had a breakout year last season. You still got Danny Amendola. You got Gronk coming back. Hopefully he's ready to go. When you look at the New England Patriots, make no mistake about it, they're loaded. I mean, to be a Super Bowl champion and have the kind of offseason that they had speaks volumes about who they are as an organization and what they bring to the table. Cannot be ignored. And I'm just of the mindset to sit here and let you know right here, right now, that despite all of that, don't think for one second that the loss of Julian Edelman won't hurt. Tom Brady spoke about it, alluding to the issue of trust. And when you look at the issue of trust, you got Julian Edelman there, man. This is Tom Brady's most reliable weapon. Don't think for one second that losing Julian Edelman doesn't hurt the New England Patriots. It does, without question. Absolutely. Don't you doubt it. 866-729-ESPN is the number to call. 866-729-3776. That's just one of the elements that we couldn't ignore. I mean, when you talk about Julian Edelman, you got to look at it this way. 1,106 yards last season. The 3 previous seasons was 1,056, 972, and 692. Reception-wise, 105, 92, 61, and then 98 last year. I don't care what anybody say. Losing Julian Edelman is a loss. You can slice it any way you want. Losing him is a loss. I don't care how loaded they are. Another football player I want to get into, can't help but get into, is Colin Kaepernick. He was in the news again, this time because of Jim Brown, who says, I don't desecrate my flag. That's what Jim Brown said. He goes on. He says Colin has to make up his mind whether he's truly an activist or he's a football player. If you're trying to be both, football is commercial. You have owners, you have fans, and you want to honor that if you're making that kind of money. That's what he said. He also went on to say, I'm going to give you the real deal. I'm an American. I don't desecrate my flag and my national anthem. I'm not going to do anything against the flag and national anthem. I'm going to work within those situations. But this is my country, and I'll work out the problems, but I'll do it in an intelligent manner. If you have a cause, I think you should organize it. Present it in a manner where it's not only you standing or sitting on one knee, but a lot of people that are going to get behind each other and do something about it. I ask you one question. Who is Colin calling on to follow what he's talking about? That's what Jim Brown had to say. My response is the same as it was in hour number 1. I think Jim Brown is wrong in terms of alluding to desecrating the flag. Colin Kaepernick was not desecrating the flag. Colin Kaepernick took a position. He went down on one knee, exercising his individual and constitutional rights under the United States of America as a citizen. His protest was peaceful. It did not inhibit anybody from watching the game of football or playing the game of football or coming to witness watching the game of football being played. It did none of those things. He took an individual position of kneeling during the national anthem because he wanted to bring attention to racial injustice and prejudice and inequality, along with brutality on the part of some police officers. That's what Colin Kaepernick was doing. He was not desecrating the flag. He was not insulting the men and women who served in our armed forces. He was doing no such thing. He was reminding America of the rights and the privileges under which it stands and saying you're not living up to it and challenging them to do better. That's what he was doing. That's what he was doing. And if that's what anybody is saying, if that's what anybody is feeling, if that's what anybody is thinking, you're wrong. And that definitely needs to be said. (866-729-ESPN). That's 866-729-3776. That's what you got to do. You got to be real about that. There's no way around this. It's just the truth. Jim Brown is right, though, when he talks about, having a plan. Because too many people want to do things, but they don't have a plan. When you marched in Selma, that was a plan. When there was a march on Washington, that was a plan. It was organized. The residual impact that followed was predictable because there was a plan in place. You don't get around that. It cannot be ignored. So him saying that is fair. Because Jim Brown is asking, well, what you going to do? You took a knee, now what? And Colin Kaepernick pointing out how charitable and philanthropic he is because he pledged $1 million to worthy causes. He's living up to that. He's already donated over $800,000, has another $100,000 that he's going to donate to a cause very, very soon. He's to be commended for all of that. But wondering about who he's giving money to for worthy causes ain't the issue. The issue is why he took the knee and whether or not real substantive change has taken place in that regard. Jim Brown is right to ask that question. Desecrating the flag? Not so much. That's not what Colin Kaepernick did. And he shouldn't be accused of that.
Catch the Stephen A. Smith Show live on 98.7 ESPN New York, ESPN LA 710, and Sirius XM Channel 80.
You just can't make this stuff up.
Weekdays from 1 till 3 Eastern.
Okay, Kevin, for the grand prize of $1 million, what color is the White House?
I know this.
5 seconds.
Oh, switching to Geico could save you a bunch of money on car insurance?
Okay. Judges? That's true, Kevin. They'll allow it. Congratulations. You're a winner.
Woo! Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
You're listening to the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Tris, in Brooklyn, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead. Hello?
Hello?
Demetrius, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Demetrius is here.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
All right. Okay, listen, my comment was about Jim Brown's comments. I mean, back in the 60s, he was one that was fighting. He was fighting civil rights and civil rights issues. And then for him to come out in 2017 and have something negative to say about Colin Kaepernick, who's done nothing short of stand up as a black man in America playing American sports, we need black men. There's very few black men.
Stop right there. Watch your tone. And here's why I tell you to watch your tone. Because Jim Brown, just because of what you just said, how he was one of those individuals who fought, he would know what the times were like then compared to what the times are like now. I disagree with him about his specific comments in terms of desecrating the flag because I happen to believe emphatically that that is not what Colin Kaepernick was doing. But when he's making an argument about what you should be doing, if indeed you're trying to be an activist, he is qualified to elaborate extensively on that because he wouldn't know what it requires. So when he says, where's your plan? And did you organize? Demetrius, those are legitimate concerns.
Legitimate concerns, but I think he's done more than enough by just accepting his punishment right now. The man stood up. He stood up for something that he felt very deeply.
No. But that's not what Jim Brown is alluding to, sir. What he's saying, we're not saying that Colin Kaepernick is not willing to accept this punishment. What he's saying is that if you were kneeling, why were you kneeling? What was the goal? And where's the end game? We don't ask ourselves that question enough. Jim Brown is right to ask that question. He's not right to say he desecrated the flag or he's not going to desecrate his flag because that's not what Colin Kaepernick was doing. But he is right to ask the question, what's the end game? Now answer that question, Demetrius. What is the end game if you're Colin Kaepernick? And do you believe that has been accomplished?
I believe the end game is for more players to stand up. If the players don't stand up and stand as one, we will never be respected as one in this country. And I think that's what the end game is. I mean, he got a couple of players to – it was a pleasure. Have a good day. I mean, he had a couple of players stand with him. You know, I appreciate and I really appreciate the Caucasian players who are actually joining in. But we need everyone to stand up because this is an issue that's not going away. So when you use the word desecrate, that's a strong word. And certain people will latch onto that word, and then now here it is, basically Colin Kaepernick, he's taking some steps forward, but you have a black man making him go 10 steps back.
Well, see, that's not fair. That's not fair because I don't think, listen, we disagree with Jim Brown. I don't think he's taking, so we're going to stand 10 steps back. See, that's our problem. I believe that's our problem as a community. The fact is Jim Brown, as an activist himself, believes that Colin Kaepernick didn't have a plan. Yes, he said desecrate the flag. I disagree with him. You disagree with him. I think most people would disagree with that statement. Colin Kaepernick's not taking 10 steps back because Jim Brown expressed that opinion. And I think on far too many occasions, we are of this mindset that we have to be monolithic in our thinking. Black folks come in all shapes and sizes, man. Just because Jim Brown said that doesn't mean we take 10 steps back. We can respectfully disagree with somebody like Jim Brown, who has been an activist on behalf of the black community. You think I agree with him going to Trump and coming out them damn golden elevators? Hell no. That took us more steps back than him saying what he said about Colin Kaepernick, but I don't recall us being 10 steps back. So why do we feel the need to overreact just because we disagree with his position? How come we just can't disagree with his position without thinking he takes us 10 steps back, Demetrius?
I respect that, Stephen A., 100%. But when is that time going to come as we, as men of color in this country, that we still have a long way to go? When can we stand up and provide a united front? That's my point.
But here's my point to you. Who's to say we're not united? Because you might disagree with how Colin Kaepernick did something. You can't disagree with his message. I never once heard Jim Brown say, I disagree Colin Kaepernick's message about racial inequality in this country. I never once heard Jim Brown say, I disagree with him about the issue of brutality on the part of police officers. He might have disagreed with the particular protest. In other words, how you decided to address it, but he didn't disagree with the message. And if he didn't disagree with the message, how are we divided?
You have a strong point. I have to give you that, Stephen A. But also, of one point that you keep on making about the voting situation, our common vote means nothing in this country. We know that. We know that.
I disagree with you. You know why I disagree with you? Because let me tell you something right now. 2 million less black people showed up to vote for Hillary Clinton that voted up to vote for Barack Obama. Had those same people listened to our 44th president, Barack Obama, and don't boo, vote, and they went out and they had voted, Hillary Clinton, even though she already won the popular vote, had those 2 million people spread throughout Ohio and Pennsylvania and Michigan and all of that, had they gone out to vote, she would have won the Electoral College vote. She'd have been the president of the United States, and we wouldn't be talking about the issues we're talking about. So that's not correct. That is absolutely positively incorrect. And oh, by the way, the Electoral College votes, Demetrius, only is applicable to presidential elections. Don't have nothing to do with the Senate. Don't have nothing to do with congressmen. Don't have anything to do with the gubernatorial races. Don't have anything to do with the mayoral races. Don't have anything to do with the city council, the attorney generals, the prosecutors, the state attorney generals, that is, the prosecutors, et cetera, et cetera. There are many ways in which to impact this country with the vote beyond the presidential election. Stop saying that our votes don't count. They absolutely positively do, and history has proven that.
We have to fight. We have to present a united front. That's pretty much just the bottom line of my comments.
I understand that. You're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. But let's be factual in what we're saying and not disincentivize people to do things that clearly are substantive and have the potential to have an impact. Because when we do that, we're being irresponsible and we're crippling our own community because we're ingraining this mentality in the souls of youngsters on a come up that their vote and other things don't count. When that is factually incorrect and incredibly damaging. Did it ever occur to you, Demetrius, that that's what people want our communities, the minority communities within this country? That's the exact attitude they want folks to take. So you'll never go to the polls. You'll never provoke an exact change. And the people who are insidious with their intent can continue to be that way into perpetuity because they know we ain't going to go to the polls.
Thank you. Yes, you are so right. They'll keep up with the nefarious ways.
Thanks a lot, man. Well, nefarious is more wicked than anything else, and I'm not wicked. Just wanted to be honest with that. You know, innocuous is harmless. Nefarious is wicked. Just so you know, I'm trying to pull out the Webster's Dictionary on you or anything. Just being factual. What is that? France and Long Beach? Alive with Stephen A. What's up?
Frankie, you always get me mixed with France and Freddie. It's Frankie from Long Beach.
Freddie, okay. Oh, it says Frankie. It says Frankie. I'm sorry. It says Frankie. I didn't have my glasses on. It says Frankie, but go ahead.
Yeah. You see, I like the last conversation. The last call. That was good, man. You taking me back. You were very sharp, man, and I appreciate that. And now I'm going to Floyd Mayweather thing, though.
Yep.
Floyd, man, I think he gave America a gift, man, for his, like, his boxing and his career for his boxing. And when he told America about how McGregor, like, came short in advertising for the fight and promoting the fight, he meant well in a way where he was talking about how McGregor should have promoted his ways in the UFC where he fight at, like Mayweather was promoting boxing, and it would have been a bigger game and a better thing. That's what Mayweather was talking about. And Mayweather did what Ali did, and America didn't recognize it. So I told my homeboy, the first 3 rounds was a rope-a-dope. That's all. Like Ali had a big fighter with Foreman. You know, this guy outweighed Mayweather by maybe 10, 15 pounds. And Mayweather put the rope-a-dope on him from around, let him punch himself out, and then did what Mayweather do. I'm clear with that, Steve.
I appreciate it, man.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Hey, listen. You know, one of the things that you got to talk about with Floyd is legacy. Wasn't a knockout artist. You know, history with domestic violence. None of this stuff can be escaped. But there's something that hasn't been talked about with him that I think needs to be talked about. And that's why I decided to dedicate my final take today on First Take to that very, very subject. Listen in to my final take from today on ESPN on First Take on Floyd Money Mayweather. Listen up.
Beyond the glitz and glamour, the flossing, the pomp and circumstances surrounding everything that culminated in Saturday night's Mayweather versus McGregor fight, there were a few sightings that were relatively low-key in comparison, but more significant than many may realize. At the weigh-in, there was a 2-time NBA champion, Draymond Green, and star guard Paul George. On fight night, of course, there was LeBron James, James Harden, Isaiah Thomas, and a few others. And none of them were there just to pay homage to Mayweather, the fighter. It's the businessman in Mayweather they actually love even more. As the sun clearly set on the boxing career of Mayweather, many can reflect on a lot of things about the man. He wasn't a Mike Tyson-like knockout artist, or even Tommy the Hitman Hearns. To many, he wasn't even Sugar Ray Leonard. He certainly can't be confused with Muhammad Ali or any other fighter who's ever been socially conscious. No doubt he was guilty of domestic violence, as our very own The Undefeated accurately pointed out. He definitely had his share of boring fights that didn't give the people what they actually wanted to see. But that ain't the legacy these athletes are paying attention to. What they're paying attention to instead is the $1 billion plus Mayweather has earned in his career. How box office he made himself. How he's been his own boss, answerable to no commissioner, no owner, no GMs, and barely even the fans for the last decade in achieving unprecedented wealth, fame, and control of his own name, his own brand. And how despite strenuous efforts by so many to bring him down, they simply weren't able to do it. You want to see an athlete drool? The idolized displaying deference and respect? Watch as these athletes marvel at Mayweather. He talks to them, implores them, encourages them, teaches them, knowing that for all the ways in which they understandably want to be nothing like him, they'd give anything to be him right now. They don't care whether you view Mayweather as 49-0 or 50-0. They don't lament whether McGregor was a real opponent or not. They salivate instead over the reality of Mayweather's greatness as a marketer, how he turned pariah status into billions, how somehow, some way, he got folks to make him rich beyond measure, knowing they hated doing so along the way, yet simply couldn't help themselves. That's where the true champion in Mayweather lies. It's why we should understand if they're saying right now, boy, I wish I could make money like him, even if they're saying it today.
And that's what it comes down to, ladies and gentlemen. When you look at these marquee athletes and you look at the advent of social media, why the hell you think LeBron James, saddled with over 37 million Twitter followers and Lord knows how many in Instagram and Facebook, why do you think he sits around and takes a photo of himself at every turn, or videos of himself, whatever the case may be? He was in attendance for the fight Saturday night. Why do you think all of these other guys do the same? They desperately want to control their own brand, their own image, their own voice. They don't want to be answerable to anybody. They want independence, not just in terms of wealth, but everything else in between. And Mayweather has it. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. That's the dream come true for every American, white, black, or otherwise. Think about it. You wake up every day. Think about if you woke up today, you didn't have a boss. And I had pretty damn good bosses, but I swear I wish I was my own at all times. Some people are more fortunate than others to pull that off. But they're very, very few in this day and age in this world. Mayweather did it. That's why these players gravitate to him. That's why they listen to him. That's why they go visit him. That's why you see him at games. That's why they talk to him. Because he's done what almost none of them have been able to do. That's why you got to give him credit where credit is due. Plain and simple. Brian in Staten Island, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, Steve? Just want a little comment on the fight. The biggest part I saw in the fight was McGregor would land a punch and then watch his follow-up punch. It was like a little pit-a-pat. I think he was more afraid of the counter-punch from Floyd and never got anything going because of it.
Could have been the case. Well, you know what that would mean, though, right? That would mean that he was feeling Floyd's punches more than he let on.
I believe so. I mean, it's Floyd does have power. He doesn't use it every fight because he's more defensive fighter and a counterpuncher. But when he did catch him, he caught him good. And I think he got real cautious very quickly on if he wanted to stay and engage or even land that shot and work his way out. And he opted to work his way out more times than not.
Got you. Good point. Appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you so much. Let's go to Dre. You're live with Stephen A. on ESPN Radio. What's up, Dre?
Stephen A., what's going on? Just two quick points.
Go ahead, man.
Point number one, I told you I'd be giving you a call. I don't know if you remember. On the 27th, I said I'll call you the 27th. Way before everybody jumped on that Mayweather knockout thing, I had predicted, I said he's going to get knocked, TKO, and I didn't predict the round, didn't think it would go that far. But I told you I'd give you a call on the 27th. But that's the first point.
Hold on, wait a minute. You said who was going to get knocked out?
Conor McGregor. I said Floyd would win by knockout.
Okay, go ahead.
And I said, okay, the second point.
Well, you really stepped out on a limb there, but go ahead.
No, I said TKO. Anyhow, I'm a little surprised in you, and I don't agree with you when you kind of not give Floyd as much credit as he deserved when you say, you and others say he's the best defensive boxer of all time. But on one hand, you'll say that. Then you'll say, on the other hand, Kawhi Leonard is the best two-way player. And if I'm not mistaken, boxing is a offense, defense, just the same as basketball. To that, you say?
I'm not even thinking about that. I don't even know what to say about that. I mean, we're talking about a boxing match, and you bring in a basketball comparison?
No,
boxing, you're in the ring by yourself. Basketball, you're on the court with four of the teammates against five of the dudes. You're being coached. There's a system that comes with it. There's so many intangibles that have no relatability whatsoever. I don't like that comparison at all.
It's offense and defense. You said Kawhi is the best two-way player, but yet Mayweather's playing a boxing in a sport that you got to play offense and defense, but you only credit him for the best defensive fighter of all time.
And?
I just respectfully disagree, and I know that's
You respectfully disagree with what? That's what I'm trying to understand. What do you disagree with?
It shouldn't be he's the best defensive fighter. His record proves that, hey, whoever y'all put in front of him, he did it. And that should be
okay, so you're saying that I'm saying, by my saying he's the best defensive fighter ever, I'm not giving him enough credit for offense?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, all right. I'm like, you lost me. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But okay, here's my thing. I can understand and respect where you're coming from, because the reason why I won't disrespect your point, Dre, is that you have an appreciation for the art of boxing. So everything to you is not about the knockout. I totally respect that. But to me, it's almost like I look at it from the perspective that his boxing skills are magnificent, both offense and defensively, clearly. But in terms of that knockout power, it's so flagrantly, he's so flagrantly devoid of it moving up to the welterweight division, particularly over the last many years. You also got to understand, Dre, I'm coming from a place where I watched Roberto Duran in that division. I watched Aaron Pryor as a junior welterweight, and Alexis Aguero, and the Tommy Hitman Hearns, and the Wilfredo Benitez who Sugar Ray Leonard beat, and of course Sugar Ray Leonard and others. I come from watching that era. And I'm watching guys who were great boxers as well as great fighters and punchers. And when they lost to somebody, they lost to somebody that was great. It wasn't like they lost to scrubs. Like, for example, Dre, Marvelous Marvin Hagler knocked out Tommy the Hitman Hearns in 3 rounds. Greatest first round we ever saw, okay? Do you take anything away from Tommy Hearns for losing that fight?
Absolutely not.
You know why? And you know why? Because who was it against?
It was against the great, marvelous Marvin Hagler, but he came to fight. I get
what I'm saying. All I'm saying to you is this. I respect your position. Respect mine. I'm looking at it from the perspective that even when they lost, it was greatness that was there against them. And they had power and all of those things that came with it. Now, to a credit to Mayweather, he made guys look ordinary, and that is fair. But there has clearly been a drop-off. Remember, when Sugar Ray beat Hearns, it was the 14th round. Back then, it was 15-round fights, man. You know, it was a different era. And I think that Mayweather, and then not only that, you didn't get to pick your opponents like they do now. And they had to wait for years and wait until guys were beyond their prime and stuff like that. No. You had to fight them when the public demanded for the fights. All of those things play a role, Dre.
I understand exactly what you're saying, but this man has, honestly, and it's sad because he's not liked by many, and it's because
you're saying it's sad, Dre, but he is recognized as pretty much top 5 all time. It ain't like we're acting like Floyd Mayweather ain't in the conversation.
It takes for him to, God forbid, anything happen to him. But, we need to appreciate him while he's here, why he's done it, the way he's done it.
Well, that's fair.
Took control over his destiny.
Well, we all give him credit for that. We all give him credit for that. Don't even bring up the money and the promotion and everything else. We all give him credit for that. Nobody's denying it. But I got to run, Dre.
Want to be a part of the show? Hit Stephen A. up weekdays from 1 to 3 Eastern at 866-729-3776.
Guess what?
You're in the middle of the Stephen A. Smith Show podcast.
Damn it, I mean it!
Stephen A. Smith Show back here on ESPN Radio. No, I can't sing. Damn it. But I like doing that to just give people headaches. People are saying I can dance. Some people are saying I can't because I danced with the Jabbawockeez on First Take last week. Me and Teddy Atlas got into it Saturday night. It was a fun week in Vegas. I had a ball. Laughing it up, making a damn fool of myself. It was all in fun, though. All in fun. By the way, on a more serious note, Art Briles, former coach at Baylor, remember he was fired because of his handling of allegations of sexual assaults by student athletes. He was hired Monday as an assistant coach by the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the Canadian Football League. Former Hawaii and SMU coach June Jones, who was named the Tiger Cats' new head coach on Thursday, hired Briles as the team's assistant head coach for offense. Ladies and gentlemen, I have no problem with this. As negligent as his behavior was as head coach, football coach at Baylor, is he in prison? No. What do you want him to do? Be unemployed for the rest of his life? I wouldn't want him heading a college program. I wouldn't want my kids or want my daughter going to a program he was the head of as its football coach. But that doesn't mean he doesn't deserve a job and an opportunity to make an honest living for his family. I have no problem with him getting a job. He just doesn't need to be a head coach on a collegiate level anymore. Back to the phones we go before we get on out of here. Let's make it quick. Marty and Callie, you're live with Stephen A. Go ahead.
What's up, Stephen? Love you, man.
Thanks, bro.
How's the family?
Everybody's all right. Go ahead.
Why kneel down to the flag? Why not put your fist up and say, Black Power, right on. We will not submit, and we support.
Stop right there. Stop right there. If you acknowledge it's a protest, why should a protest be something you like?
Well,
why don't you answer that question?
The flag. What does the flag represent? Blood, peace, water, states.
Stop right there. Stop right there. You're not answering my question. I didn't ask you all of that. I said a protest is not designed to make you comfortable or to make it something that you like. So why try to define what a protest should be?
Well, why not? What about results?
Well, okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's totally fair. But why try to define a protest, what a protest should be? That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm not trying to define it. I'm saying why not use what works best?
I don't think that works best in this day and age, personally. Be honest with you. I really don't. I think people look at that and say, so what? But I got to go, Marty. Thank you. Let's go. What is it, to Markin? You're live with Stephen A.? Is that it, Markin?
It's Markin, but that's close enough.
All right, go ahead, man.
All right. So two things real quick. Okay, first thing, I think Conor was pretty okay. And the thing I wanted to ask you was, what if he decided to keep boxing? Like, who would you want to see him
I think he'd get knocked out inside of 4 rounds by anybody else.
Against anyone?
Almost anyone. Go ahead. What's your next point?
That's it. That's all I want to know.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Jay in Long Island, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Jay. Go ahead.
How's it going?
All right, go ahead, man.
I just want to disagree. I agree with you as far as Jim Brown and the flag part, but I disagree when you say Kaepernick was very articulate in the reason of why he was protesting. So they keep trying to deflect things with this whole flag and national anthem. Can we stop covering it? Can you guys stop covering that? Because the anthem is not what the protest is about. And for Jim Brown,
the answer is no. Call me back when I have more time to talk to you tomorrow. And also, don't ever tell us what to cover, because we're not going to listen. We're going to cover what we know the news to be, period. Get over it. Cam, you're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Cam, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Cam. Hey, this is Stephen A. This is Cam. Hey, I have this quick question. With Julian Edelman going out for the year, do you think the Madden curse has anything to do with it, since it's like the second consecutive year, with Rob going out the year before?
Do I think what has to do with it? Do I think what has to do with it?
The Madden curse with the Patriots being on the cover. Do you believe in the Madden curse?
That's why you held on for over an hour to ask me about the Madden curse? What the hell's the matter with y'all? Who cares? You mean the Madden curse? How the hell am I supposed to answer that question, Cam? How am I supposed to answer that question? What would I know about a Madden curse? What do you know about a Madden curse? How would we possibly know the answer to that question? How? It's impossible. Nobody knows. Goodbye, man. I apologize to my listeners for ending the show with such a stupid question. I'll talk to y'all in 22 hours. Peace and love.
That's just a sample of what you'll hear on the Stephen A. Smith Show. Weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM Channel 80 and the ESPN app.